Dave Weinberg covers boxing. He covers the Eagles for the Press of Atlantic City. Also saw him writing about the Taj Mahal today in his column here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Well-versed you are there, Dave.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Yeah, actually, MMA and UFC specifically is a pretty close tie with the Taj. That's basically where they got their start. They were kind of like a fledgling organization until Trump and the New Jersey Commission, they established the unified rules for MMA in New Jersey, and then UFC started having shows like at the Taj and Boardwalk Hall.
Yeah, I remember being at a show a long time ago, maybe back in like 2001 or 2002, sometime back then, when they were just trying to get off the ground. And boy, how much bigger it is now. And that fight, we just told you, going to be out in Vegas. I guess the arena, the Boardwalk Hall, is too small for a big UFC card.
Well, Boardwalk Hall is okay. It's just like the labor costs are so prohibitive, and that's kind of what keeps them from coming back, I think. They have had some smaller shows like at Revel and stuff like that, and I think a major card still would work in Atlantic City, but they'd have to just work out the logistics as far as, like I said, labor costs and hotel rooms and that kind of stuff. But all right. Hopefully they'll come back soon.
All right, Dave Weinberg. Now, I didn't read the column yet today. I did see it, but was it slanted? Was it slanted towards sporting events that have happened at the Taj?
Both, actually. Some big fights. I remember George Foreman fighting Shannon Briggs there, which was a huge fight. And then Briggs wound up winning this very controversial and disputed decision. And Foreman retired after that. He never fought again. So that was kind of like a special fight there.
Now, were these fights that were taking place in the Mark Giettis Arena?
Yep. Sure were, yep.
Interesting. I didn't know
they used to be one of the big. They used to be one of the big arenas as far as boxing goes. Yep.
I did not. What did that hold?
Oh gosh, I don't know, 5,000, 7,000.
Okay,
like
yeah. So I wasn't mistaken. Like the way you're thinking Foreman, fighting at that level, that you get 10, 15,000 people in there. But this was a smaller venue for a fight then.
Yeah, it was back in the time when Donald Trump was really pushing the Taj Mahal and really wanted to make it known as a entertainment and a sports complex.
Did the stuttering like John Crazy Cabby fight make your list?
Boy, just missed.
I do remember that there. Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Read Dave's piece on the Trump Taj Mahal closing at the Press of Atlantic City. And Dave, you obviously know we're getting ready. Some breaking news just came out for the Redskins. We'll start with that because Jordan Reed getting tested for a concussion. And if he wasn't able to go, that's a huge loss for that team.
Yeah, he's their big receiver there. So, yeah, that's going to be a major setback. Although I have a feeling that Deshaun Jackson might want to step up a little bit. He's been kind of invisible for the first, especially the last couple of weeks. And the Redskins have been talking about trying to get him more involved. So maybe with Reed dealing with a concussion issue, maybe that'll open the door for Deshaun to maybe have a bigger impact.
Well, let's start with the offensive tackle situation because that's where Doug Peterson started today. He basically admitted Big V will be the starter. Why? Because that's why. I don't have to tell you, but because. Give us your take on, him being the guy. Would you have gone with Alan Barbary? Do you like the fact that they're going this route? Kind of give us your take on this whole, thing that has been turned upside down because Lane Johnson's suspension.
All right. Well, for me, I think I'd probably move Barbary to right tackle and then use Wisniewski as the left guard. Wisniewski, as I've heard you mention before, he has experience. He's primarily played center, but he also had a little bit of experience at left guard too. Whereas Vaitai hasn't even set foot on an NFL field yet. Now this will be his first game ever. He was deactivated for the first four. Never really took a snap with the starters until today. And even in the preseason, he was working with the third team. So I'm really surprised that they would make this. I know they talked about not wanting to disrupt two positions, but it seemed like it would be a pretty easy transition for Barbary to make. He's played right tackle before and handled it pretty well. I know he's having a pretty good year at left guard, but I don't know. I think that right tackles, I don't want to say it's the more important position, but it's kind of critical when you got guys like Ryan Kerrigan out there coming at your quarterback. I think I'd want the most experienced guy I could to be out there protecting him.
Yeah, and here's something, he wasn't activated for any of the first games. So if Lane Johnson were to get hurt in one of those games, how would they have reacted in that situation? It seems like they would have just moved Alan Barbary out there.
Right, they would have. Yeah, and Wisniewski or Samala would have been the guard. I think Samala's been deactivated too, though. So yeah, it would have been the situation that they should be going with on Sunday, to be honest with you. But I mean, they know more than I do about Vaitai. I mean, I haven't seen him practice since we're not allowed to watch him much, and he's been working with the scout team, which kind of makes me wonder, what kind of progress could he have shown? But apparently they like what they've seen. I mean, Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, and Peterson, and evidently they think he's made some pretty good progress. So I guess I imagine they'll give him like a ton of help for the tight end and stuff, and chipping and stuff. So
yeah, one of the things I brought up in the last hour is you wonder how much that changes the playbook now, because last week was the first time they got all three tight ends, and now you would assume that they're going to need to use Selleck a lot more. That would cut into somebody like Burton's playtime, and maybe even using Ertz the way they want to use him, because they got to keep Selleck in the block so much.
Yeah, that's true. Although they seem to keep him in a lot anyway. But yeah, you're right. They're going to really have to give this kid as much help as they can, and that means Selleck's going to be isn't going to be going out on many pass routes. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, whether they how it affects Ertz and Burton. I think Ertz will probably play the same role, but Trey might get a few less snaps, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree. Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City is with us here. And Lane Johnson, for the listeners out there, they can't connect with him, contact him, nothing with him, right? He is basically as if he's not even a member of the organization for the next 10 weeks.
That is correct. Yep. No contact with anybody, players, coaches, or anything. He was originally going to stay in town to serve his suspension, but Doug had said today that he's going back to Oklahoma. I think part of that might be because I think he hyperextended his elbow against the Lions, so he can't rehab at the NovaCare complex, but he's going to go back to his college alma mater, Oklahoma, and probably rehab and work out there too.
Right. So, and basically, I heard Doug say today that he or the organization has set up basically like a rehab stint for him in Oklahoma. So he's going to go down there and get it. One of the things I thought was interesting, I don't know if this is just coach speak, I'll get your opinion on this, but the way the week works out when he gets back is the Eagles have that short week against the Giants. So Doug said there's a possibility that even when he's ready to come back that week, because they play on Thursday night, they might not be able to just throw him back in there.
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't play. I mean, it's not like this is playing quarterback and he needs, a week to prepare. He's a right tackle, and he's a very good one at that. I mean, I would think if he comes back and there's a game the next day, I think you'd rather have him out there than a rookie who hasn't played before, although we'll have more experience by then. But if I'm given the choice between Lane Johnson or Big V, I'm going with Lane Johnson every time.
Right, and of course, we haven't seen Vaitai play at all. We don't really know what he brings to the table. Maybe he'll feel comfortable. Maybe he'll be fine. Who knows? He is a big man, right? I mean, he's like 6'6", 320 pounds. That's a big human being.
Yeah, he's not real, he's kind of like lanky almost. I mean, he's real tall, but not very heavy. He carries his weight very well, I guess I should say. He's not stout like, say, Jason Peters or even Lane, who, put on quite a bit of weight between college and the NFL. But he's kind of like a rangy, athletic, quick kind of guy, but not necessarily like a monster who's going to maul you, I guess. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, and one thing is the Eagles' offensive line has been a big part of their success. And Doug was actually asked today, would you have rather have him missed the first couple of games so that you had him back for more? And he kind of said, look, maybe we're not 3-1, maybe we're 0-4. A lot of hypotheticals there. But how much losing Lane Johnson do you think will impact this offense?
A lot. I do. I think he was their best offensive lineman. And he has been for the last 2 years. There's a reason he was like the 4th overall pick, a few years ago. But I thought he's really coming into his own. I think he's really been playing. Right tackles usually don't make the Pro Bowl, but if one did, I think he would be the pick. So, yeah, it's going to be – I think it's a big loss, to be honest with you. I think they're really going to have to cater things around, maybe not running that way that much. Although Vaitai, I guess he'll be a decent run blocker, so maybe they'll be able to handle it okay. But they're going to need, like you said, it's going to alter the offense because now they're going to need a tight end to stay in a little bit more. They're going to need the running backs they're going to have to stay in and pick up blitzes and chip guys who are coming after Wentz. So I think it's going to have a big impact, to be honest with you. And I'm not so sure they're going to be able to handle it that well.
Now, you mentioned altering the run game. One thing about the run game is we didn't see Barner. We didn't see Smallwood.
We know what weird.
Yeah, we know what happened with Matthews. He was asked today about overusing Darren. In your opinion, is Matthews the guy? Because last year, I would say Matthews deserved to play over Murray. He was a better fit for that offense. Is he the best fit for this offense?
I think so. I mean, I think he's a pretty good fit, but I don't know about being like the go-to guy. I just don't know that you can count on him to stay healthy for one thing, and to be consistently reliable for another. And I don't know why. Like Barner and Smallwood both had pretty good games against the Steelers, so that was kind of surprising to me that they wouldn't even barely touch the field if they touched it at all. I don't know. Neither of them got any carries, so. I would think that the running back by committee approach seemed to work pretty well. So I don't know why he went away from that. It'll be interesting to see if he goes back to it this week.
Right, because it's interesting. On the defensive side of the ball, they employ the rotating guys, keeping guys fresh. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it seems like they don't really do that as much at the running back spot. So it'll be interesting because he kind of indicated today that, yeah, I like what they do. I'd like to see them do more. We don't want to increase the other guys' workloads, but I'll believe it when I see it almost.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he's thinking, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, and the running backs, look, save for the fumble there, they've played pretty well. They run the ball, they're like top 5 in the league in carries. So I thought Peterson has done a pretty good job calling games so far this year. But if he can keep those running backs fresh like he's doing on defense. Now, I want to get your opinion, Dave, on Bradham not playing in the first half. Now, he says, I just wanted to see the other guys. You buying that?
No, he was punished. That's what I think. I think they were trying to send a message they were disciplining him for his infractions over the bye week, to their detriment, by the way, because I thought Michael Kendricks was terrible.
Who knew Bradham was that important?
Yeah, really, I know. Because he really didn't impress me all that much the first couple games. I mean, he had an interception, I know, but it wasn't like anybody that really stood out. But evidently, he's clearly better than Michael Kendricks at this point. I don't know what the heck was going on with him against the Lions, but I just thought he was terrible.
Well, and he seems like he has been the lost guy for some time now. Like, his name was coming up in trade. Then they sign him. They give him a lot of money this offseason, So he seems like he is in a really interesting place with this organization moving forward.
Yeah, I thought maybe they confused him with his brother, who's playing pretty well in Minnesota. It looks like they signed the wrong Kendricks there,
That's true. His brother, one of the better linebackers in the league, Mychael, really struggling. And last week, the Lions attacked right at him. 4 pass attempts for 4 targets in Kendrick's zone, all 4 completed. And, the Redskins have a pretty good back, catching the ball out of the backfield as well. The kid Crowder, they got some weapons on this team that I think this offense is going to be a interesting matchup for this Eagles defense.
Yeah, it's weird because Kendricks is one of his strengths was supposed to be his speed and his ability to cover tight ends and running backs, but he certainly didn't see it against Detroit. So I'm curious to see how Schwartz kind of works his linebacker rotation this time. They were stuck in nickel situations most of the time against the Lions, I guess, so they went for 2 and 2. But I would assume that Kendricks' playing time is going to diminish here. That's what I would think anyway. Although I don't know about Stephen Tulloch either. I don't know if he's able to hold up over the long haul. I think you probably have to still go with a rotation system.
I don't know if you know this offhand, but how often are 3 linebackers on the field? Because if so, Tulloch, to me, you would think should be in the middle. He knows Jim Schwartz's defense. I mean, he's played in it.
Right.
You've got Bradham, who knows the defense. This way, you could move Hicks out to an outside linebacker. Hicks seems like last year he was constantly making plays, and now you never hear his. That doesn't mean he's not playing well. It's just that the middle linebacker in the 4-3 is not a playmaker.
Yeah. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head. I would imagine you probably see 3 linebackers like first and maybe second down, definitely not on third downs. So I don't know how much of an impact a 3-linebacker system has. But it's kind of interesting, though, because Jordan Hicks he's such a playmaker. You can't keep him off the field. He's always around the football. He's always either forcing a fumble or picking up a pass or sacking somebody. So I would think that him and Bradham, and I guess you got to work in Tulloch too. But I wouldn't. It doesn't look like he can count on Kendricks. I don't know why, but well, it used to be that he couldn't stay healthy, but I think he's pretty healthy now. I don't know what his problem is.
My opinion on that is Kendricks is a guy who's got the tools. He's not football smart, though. He overruns plays. He doesn't know where he's supposed. I just don't think he's a smart football player. He's got the athletic ability, and that's what drives you crazy with guys like that, where they have the attributes, but he doesn't have the football instincts or the football smarts.
Yeah, that could be it. I know he has a really high opinion of himself, but it just hasn't transformed into the field at this point.
There's a lot of people like that.
Maybe, yeah, that's true. And maybe this will be a wake-up call for him. The fact that he seems to be in the doghouse, maybe that'll inspire him to maybe spend a little time in the film room if that's what he needs to do, or just to study Schwartz's defense. Maybe pick the brains of Tulloch and some of those other guys who have been around him for a while, and maybe get some sort of insight on what it takes to succeed in this system.
What was your opinion of the final throw there, Wentz to Aguilar?
I had no problem with the throw. I had a problem with Aguilar not fighting for the ball. And he did too. To his credit, he kind of admitted after the game to me that he should. That's his job, is to make those kind of catches. But he didn't really even fight with Slay for the football, and that's what bothered me more than anything. I had no problem with Carson taking a shot there. Evidently, he saw something that he liked, and he's got a strong arm, so why not try and shock the Lions a little bit? I had no problem with that, but I really thought Aguilar should have made more of an effort to come down with the football.
Hey,
that was my takeaway.
Doug indicated that how far they've come. Last year, this was a team that would kind of fold the tent. That they did, essentially suggesting that this team was not strong-minded last year. Do you sense a difference in that capacity, that this team is, over that loss moving forward, whereas last year they would, the last couple of years, they would allow themselves to get into some losing streaks, because if they lose this game this week, that's 2 in a row. All of a sudden, doubt really starts to settle in these, the season gets short real fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the strong-minded part. I mean, because it's kind of like it's mostly the same players. So I don't know. Maybe I guess the culture's different, which will help. Chip didn't seem to want to take the blame for anything, whereas Peterson kind of he accepts the fact when things don't go right, that he takes the brunt of it the way Andy used to do all the time too. So I think it's a little early in the season though to determine whether they'll be able to overcome adversity or not. I mean, it's just been one game. If it happens, they lose to the Redskins and then lose to the Vikings, and then I think you'll see what they're made of, so to speak, whether they are strong enough to overcome that kind of stuff, or whether people start pointing fingers like they did before, and start complaining and moaning to the management, trying to get in Jeffrey Lurie's ear on the plane ride and that kind of stuff. I don't see that happening, but I'm not quite ready to proclaim that they're that much stronger, like emotionally, than they were the last couple of years. I have to wait for a couple more games to see.
Hey, can this defense rely on McKelvin? I mean, he seems like that's his MO. He's always banged up.
Yeah, his hamstring's always been a problem for him, so I'm not so sure. I mean, to his credit, though, he came back into the game, which showed me a lot. But it looks like they're going to have to wait and hope that Jalen Mills can step up a little bit more as the season progresses, because they're probably going to need him, I think.
Yeah. All right, Dave Weinberg, Press of Atlantic City. Make sure you read his piece on the Taj Mahal closing. That's his column this week, as all the sports and memories that went on at the Taj. As Dave mentioned, a lot of big boxing that happened there in its early days. So check that piece out at pressofatlanticcity.com. Thank you, Dave.
No, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.